Welcome to the Mastering Your Money Mindset podcast, where you'll learn to think like a top producing RVP. Each week, we interview top performers so they can help you have a success mindset with actionable advice. Today, we're here with Anthony Peasy. He's with Global Atlantic Financial, and he's a unique guy. He's only a couple years into this business, but he's excelling at a very fast pace. And there's a reason for that. And today, what we're going to do in this Q&A is try to really figure out what is he doing differently than you might be doing so that you can start listening to what he's doing and putting what he has and implementing them so that you actually start to get similar results. He's not any better than you are. He's just doing things differently than you are. So if you learn to listen and take some of these things and add them to your mix, it can make all the difference. So Anthony, thank you so much for being here. How did you decide to get into the financial services industry?
I've always had an interest in it. And in college, I feel like I still try to figure out what I want to do or what I want to be, but I'm getting there. In college, I always had an interest in finance, and I always thought the guys in finance and the suits and on Wall Street was just so appealing. I had an idea that they were all making good money. So I always knew I wanted to make money. I just was trying to figure out how. I didn't come from a background of finance. My dad did concrete. My mom worked at a supermarket. So first one to go to college in my family. I didn't really have any guidance with school. I ended up finishing with a communications degree because I just wanted to graduate. I knew I could communicate well, and I didn't really want to pursue a career in communications, but I just got my degree from Penn State. Ended up having a buddy that worked for Wells Fargo, got me at a job in Philly through the bank. So I was working downtown as a banker for Wells Fargo in the branch, setting up accounts and learning the banking side of the business. Figured I'd work my way up, maybe get into investment banking or something with a more sexier title. And in the branch, I would see the wholesalers come through from all the different fund companies and all the different products we had on the bank level. They always came in with a nice suit on, took us to lunch, took us to happy hour. I'm like, wow, what is that guy doing? So I just networked and started networking with wholesalers that came through the branch. I ended up linking up with a guy from the Hartford. Coincidentally, the Hartford was actually going out of business when I started to interview. They had a full-on sales desk. They were getting rid of their annuity business and they sold it to Forethought. So they said, we're going out of business, but we're actually getting bought out. We'll call you in a couple of months. They actually called me back and said, hey, we got bought out by Forethought. They're buying the people, the products, none of the legacy assets, because all that stuff, that's what made the business go under. It's funny how I ended up here. It's just from networking. I didn't really have any guidance or a mentor. My parents are great, but they weren't helpful in a way for my career or school. And it's not anything against them. They just didn't know anything about it. But yeah, my buddy at Wells Fargo hooked me up and just networking. I still network. I mean, to this day, always network. I just did a lunch meeting on Friday. I sat down with another local wholesaler and we just traded names, and he's been here for 25 years. I've only been here my second year in the field. He took a meeting with me. I don't know how much help I was going to give him, but I was, because we pulled up our lists of guys that were doing business, and all my guys aren't doing business with him and all his guys aren't doing business. He's a fun guy and I'm an annuity guy. So we're not selling against each other, but just networking, man, doing that since day one. And my most recent meeting was a networking meeting, still doing it to this day.
How much business do you think has come from networking?
A lot, because I focused on where I win and who's doing the business, right? That's the easy part. It's asking for other people like you or other people like a guy that just did business. Is there someone else, if they're in an office where I know there's 20 advisors, who else in the office would like to hear the story? Who else in the office would benefit from hearing or using this product? So I always ask for referral, the best way to grow the business.
How else do you network? What's worked for you in networking other than asking for a referral?
Social media, I leverage LinkedIn. When I first got out here, I looked for all the managers of every major branch or firm, or I got a list of the top producers and I throw them a connection. Like, hey, listen, I'm new to the area. Like, you see a call from me, heads up, I'm the new local wholesaler. So try to hit it from like the digital side, emails, mass emails, LinkedIn. But I think the in-person stuff is just, you can't get anything better than that, right? Like if I do an event, hey, invite a couple guys in the office to come join that I might not know. If I'm doing a lunch, feel free to invite one of your colleagues or teammates in the office. We have room. There's always room. I think a warm referral personally, if I can get in front of you, I used all the other stuff to kind of just drip my name because I keep seeing Anthony. Oh, this guy Anthony keeps reaching out. And then when I finally get to meet you, that's when I suck you in.
Let's say you set up an event and right now you don't have anyone in that event. What do you do to get that filled?
Yeah. So, for example, the most recent event that I just did that was a success was a Raymond James lunch and learn. I ended up partnering with 3 other fun guys, which I like to do that because I can do an expensive country club lunch and golf and not have the entire $7,000 bill on myself. We chop it 4 ways. So most recently I did a lunch and learn. I partnered with 3 other wholesalers. I called the Raymond James manager. He actually spearheaded these events. And I said, hey, listen, get me a list of all your local FPs. I'll start off with a call. So I'll call, if it's 50 guys, all 50 people get a call from me. Hey, Michael, my name's Anthony. I'm working with your manager, Cody, on a fall lunch and learn. I'd love for you to be there. We're gonna have some great material and kind of give like just a high level what we're going to talk about to try and grab their attention, whether it's a sales idea, year-end help. I actually brought in we have advanced markets at Global Atlantic where they come in and they give sales ideas and value adds. They're like our buttoned up presenters. I actually brought a presenter in with me to share one of these lunch and learn presentations, a keynote speaker. Everybody gets a call and just pushing it kind of old school calls, emails, and getting butts in the seats. I did use CE. Like I have these CE cards, which I'll prepay. And I use that as a way to we say, get cheeks in the seats. So I told the manager, like, listen, it'll help drive attendance. I'll pay for the CE cards. Let your FPs know. We can put that in the title and CE available, right? And that always gets people out. I think it's just old school, keep the dials and emails and drive attendance. Between me, my internal, the manager, we ended up getting 50 people out. I got in front of 50 people, had an hour presentation slot. It was great.
You successfully get everyone into the room. You have the event. What do you do at the event to engage them and to plant seeds? And then after that, what do you do to follow up?
I always get a list of who's there. I always make sure the guys I know, obviously say hello and check in and make sure they know I saw them. The guys I don't know, I try to get a little bit of a rapport from the manager. Hey, what's this guy's deal? Does it do annuities? Just do some fact finding and figure out what they're about. But everybody I know, shake their hand, make sure they know I greet them. And if I don't know you, that's my opportunity to introduce myself. Hey, I'm Anthony, new local wholesaler. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate your time. Look forward to having future conversations and doing business with you. And then I follow up with the manager, say, get me an attendee list. That's where the business comes from, is the follow-up. So you got to make sure that you're all over the follow-up. Everybody pretty close to the event. I try to give it a few days, but you don't want to let it go too long. You can't wait like a month later. I always try to stay right on top of it while it's still warm and everybody gets a follow-up call. Hey, Michael, thank you so much for attending last week's lunch and learn. I hope you got a lot out of it. I'll be in your area on these next 3 dates. Do you mind if I just stop in your office for a quick 15-minute convo? And then that's where I try to get the one-on-one. And then part of the process, I loop my internal on it as well. We both trip. Everybody gets a call from me, but my internal is going to get that list as well. And we're going to keep a list of guys that we scheduled and busy schedule and just keep working it until everybody's booked.
Until they're booked. So how many calls will you guys rotate doing until they actually book with you?
That's a great question. And you're asking now after I did this coaching with you, you keep calling till you get the meeting. I don't care if it's 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 calls. You just keep calling in a respectful way. I'm not calling 10 times in one day, but I might call 10 times over a 3-month period until I get that meeting because things happen. You never know what they're working on in their personal life or vacation or this or that. Before the coaching, they might get 1 or 2 calls and that guy never takes my call and I'll probably move on. But now I keep that list and they keep getting called on until I either get a convo or a meeting.
How many of those people that you're consistently calling, you're calling 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, eventually will book an appointment?
Most of them. Yeah, they appreciate it, especially too. I'll make a joke of it. If I get a guy that I know I called 6 times and he finally picks up my call, I'll say, hey, listen, I'm a young, hungry, I'm here to hustle and work. I appreciate you taking my call. I know you see me call and I'll try to make like a joke of it. Again, being respectful about it. A lot of times guys will be like, you know what? I saw you reach out. Sorry. They'll give me an excuse but yeah, a lot of guys, they see the follow-up and they see the persistence. They appreciate it.
How many people do you think actually persist like that?
Not a lot. It's defeating. Before I even remember calling, oh, that guy can't get through to that guy. And they kind of fall to the wayside and you focus on other people. But you never know. It takes one call, one meeting, one conversation. It doesn't take much to just get a quick phone call.
Now you get them to agree to have a one-on-one meeting with you. What do you do before you actually have that meeting to prep?
Always. I look to see if they've done business before. If they haven't, I just try to get some type of info about them, whether I'm clicking around on their website. A lot of times guys will put in about me. I'm a big Notre Dame football fan. I try to connect on sports or kid, family, things that connect with me well. But that's a great question. For every meeting, I always prep like a slide deck or have something prepared. And then I always try to find something about the advisor. A lot of times they're very impressed that I took the time to look on their website or find something out about them or ask around. Maybe I have a meeting with a guy that I know that you're friends with, or I know a guy that you golf with. I might even give you a call like, hey, listen, I actually got a meeting with John. It's Friday. What's he about? I put that time in to find out about the advisor, and it always goes a long way.
I love that, because how many people, again, do that?
Yeah, just show up and go on the fly. I'm more comfortable and more confident when I'm prepared. Always.
So you do the research, you're prepping. You said, I'll potentially have a slide deck. Now, I know from a lot of people that I speak with, they show up to that meeting and they don't really have anything planned. They just start talking and that's it. So how will you determine what you're actually going to do when you sit down with them?
So depending on the firm, what's approved or what business they've done in the past, if I see that you're an income producer, I'll have slides or flyers on my current income prop, the rates and everything, because I'm in so many different firms. Every firm has different rules, different products approved. So I always have to make sure I've developed a habit of the night before on my iPad, just saving the slide and say, I'll title it Michael Fox Lunch Meeting, November 18th. So I just pull up my iPad, I pull up the file and I can slide through on the fly. I'm not like clicking around or wasting time finding everything. I have everything right there ready to go. So I'm super condensed and time efficient. I've developed a habit the night before, or even like it's Monday morning. Like last night I was on the couch kind of with my calendar out, looking at what meetings I had for the week and preparing all my stuff. And the night before, I'll doctor the next day's stuff. So I'm ready to go.
So you do all your prep work, you show up, you get into the office of the financial advisor. What do you do next?
I always try to connect on a personal level first and then get them to like me. Because once they like me, you're more likely to do business. I don't go in firing products down your throat. That's never the way to go. Just ask, hey, what's on your mind? What did you want out of this meeting? That's a line I use out a lot. Some guys will be like, hey, I just took this meeting because you kept calling. Or some guys will be like, hey, I actually really like annuities. I'm using a competitor, but I want to hear about your product. Or the home run meeting is, I've got a case, great timing. So open the floor to the advisor first, let them talk, and then pivot from there. And I'll set the stage. Like I've always been trained to keep a little bit of formality to the meeting. Like, hey, listen, I came in here with the idea of sharing these two sales ideas that are working really well with your firm or working really well right now in this time. Would you be open to hearing them? I go right into everybody wants to make money. They know that I'm there to make money. I'm here to make you money. So these are what I'm doing with other guys to make money. I'm here to share them with you. Hopefully I can make you money. I go right in with a sales idea and try to resonate and look and identify an area where we can do some bullhouse.
Let's say the guy says to you, I just took the call because you've been calling me a lot. What will you do to extract out of him what's most important to him?
Just ask questions about his business, the way our products work, whether it's income, what are you doing for your clients for protection? What are you doing for clients for income? And just kind of keep asking questions. And also just kind of tell stories, right? Stories help sell. And me and you talk about this all the time. I tell the same story pretty much in every meeting about my number one producer who's going to do almost 8 million in annuity business this year, from a sales idea that I presented to him. And I tell that story to resonate with other advisors because that same story can resonate with everybody. Like they get their wheels spinning and they start thinking of clients. They say, hey, listen, I tell you a sales success story I had with my number one producer. I tell them the book review idea, right? And when I tell that story or tell stories, that can help get them thinking of clients or how they can use my product or what I'm selling as a part of their business. So I tell that story all the time.
So you repeat it because it works.
I repeat it because it works. I have confidence behind it. And when I say like, hey, listen, to circle back on the way you teed up this question, a guy that, you know, maybe wasn't taking my call or that I finally got through to, my number one producer was a guy who hasn't done an annuity ticket with our company in 10 years. He's 60 years old, kind of on his way out. And he's a guy who kept trying to get to do business because I knew he did it before. And he finally took the meeting with me. I said, hey, listen, I saw you did a lot of the income business back in 2015. And I know you've done business with other companies. I'm sitting so competitively on your platform right now as far as a book review, repurposing that old business. Take a meeting with me. Let me show you the sales idea. We'll go through a few. If it makes sense, we'll continue the conversation. If not, all good. So he took the meeting with me. We went through 5 contracts. 4 of them worked. He's done 55 1035s this year and will do almost $8 million in business. And that's a guy that I kept calling. I say, hey, listen, you got to hear this idea because I know it'll work for you. They finally got through to him.
This is an amazing thing that you did, but a lot of people would make that call. The guy did he push back at all at first?
Of course. Absolutely.
And what did you do?
Overcame the objections.
Yeah.
Yeah. Always keep pushing. Something I learned is don't just fold up and quit on the first objection, especially when I knew this guy had a need or there was an opportunity for business with this guy because he was doing the business before. And the product I sell now is way better than the product he sold 10 years ago. So I knew just by looking at his book in my system that there was an opportunity there to upgrade the stuff he had.
What kind of objection did he throw at you? And then how do you handle that right there? What do you say to him?
So I painted the picture and made it make sense because it's a numbers game. If the math is there, the math is there. So to give you an idea, I've got a fixed index annuity with an income rider where we're just generating an income need for retirement. He had old variable annuity business that was 3-4% in fees. It's a VA. We're at a market high right now, right? So, if there is a correction or as far as 1035 business, that's the best possible time to 1035 is the highest that account value's ever been. And then as far as risk, going from a VA to an FIA, there's less risk. So there's a lot of ways where we win. It was just explaining to us. And again, he was on his way out and he was like, you know what? I got, that was L-share business. I got 4% up front, 1% trail. I'm not moving it. The contract values, there's such a difference between the benefit basis. I said, wait, listen, let me do the math. The products have gotten so much better. The withdrawal bases or the withdrawal percentage are so much higher than what you sold. I don't need to beat it. I just got to get close enough where I can generate more income. I just kept explaining and showing him how it worked. And eventually it clicked. And once we ran the math and he saw like, hey, listen, the client's getting 12 grand now. You can offer 15. That's a no brainer. Of course, the client's going to want an extra $3,000. Who wouldn't? So it was just persistently staying on top of him and making sure that he understood what I was trying to do. And it got through.
Yeah, a consistent theme here is keep being persistent, keep showing, keep asking, keep staying with it, and don't give up. Again, how many people give up? How many people would have had that same conversation as you and it would never have gone anywhere?
A lot.
Yeah, probably a lot. So do me a favor. I know you spend a lot of time looking at your numbers and trying to determine, hey, where am I at for the month? Where am I at for the year? Just take us through that process that you go through. So I know you spend a lot of time on really seeing your numbers and where you're at.
Yeah, I live in the reporting every day. It's the first thing I do when I wake up every morning is look at the sales run. And I have become obsessed with the numbers. It's a part of everything I do. I look at it multiple times a day. Even when I know the number, I still look at it because I visualize where I want it to be, right? And we talk about setting goals. I sit down every year and set a goal, and I stick to a plan with a process of the preparation, the meetings I want to do, the numbers I want to hit. I become obsessed with the planning and the numbers and making sure I'm where I want to be.
Why would it be so important that they look at those numbers?
Yeah, because there's a process, there's a method to these numbers, right? If you do enough calls and you do enough meetings, the business is going to come just because it's the numbers game. I developed a process. I built like a sales plan and a business plan for the year, where I focus on my top advisors are my key guys that've done $1 million plus. They're the guys that need the most love. They get the most calls and meetings. Then you expand to the guys that have done, 500K worth of business, but you want to expand and get them to that $1 million producer, right? Then I had the attains. They're a group of guys that I know either do the business based on market metrics reporting, or maybe they're a previous producer and they're kind of a fallen angel and they need to get them back on track. So there's the 3 key areas: keeps, expands, and attains. I've got a business plan with about 368, or actually the exact number I'm staring at it right now, 368 advisors are in my business plan. And I am laser focused on that plan every single day.
I love that. That's how you get the results. If you were going to do this on a percentage basis, 0 being not responsible at all and 100 being totally responsible, you looking at your numbers and knowing all of this information, how responsible is that for you hitting and exceeding your goals?
100%. 100%. Not even a question.
Got to know your numbers. I love that. How do you deal with rejection in this business? You can get rejected a whole lot.
Yeah, every day. That comes with experience and time. I'm still a newer wholesaler, and I can look back at some of the meetings I first did, and they were so bad, right? Like just getting out there and not quitting when you're down, learning from your experiences. And there are days where I get an objection that I have a really hard time overcoming. I call my mentor, I call coaches, I call my manager and say, hey, listen, I got this question in this meeting. How would you answer this? Or always trying to improve, always trying to learn, but just not quitting when you're down. Because there's been times where I've had guys like really kind of shove it in my face and shut the door hard. And you got to realize that's going to happen. And you can't let that kind of drag the rest of the day down. You can't drag the next meeting down. You can't drag the next call down. You got to pick yourself back up, keep calling, keep knocking down doors, keep knocking, and keep going.
Would you do drop-ins where you just drop into the office without knowing necessarily someone or no?
I try not to, just to be respectful of like people's time. Cause I've gotten busy with building to where I am now. And from the beginning, when I was scratching and crawling for meetings, I didn't get the best. It depends, because some people like it if you're there. I like it if I'm in a wirehouse. If I have a meeting with a corner office guy, or if I have a meeting with a guy and I know there's 20 other people, I'll send the other 19 people in office, hey, I'll be in your office today. Do you mind if I pop in? If I get 3 answers, hey, pop your head in. I'll do it that way as far as pop in. If I'm right next to an office or I'm on top of somebody in another meeting, or if I'm in a building and there's 3 other firms there, I'll do a drop in that way, whether it's dropping off my rate sheet or just dropping off my business card. Like, hey, I don't have a meeting here, but, I'm in the building. I thought it'd be kind of goofy if I didn't at least drop in and at least try to say hello. So I've done that way, but I really try to schedule. I do just a hard scheduled meeting, probably 75% of the time, maybe 25% of the time are drop-ins.
I would imagine in doing what you do, there are times when you're feeling stuck. What do you do to get out of that?
Activity brings results. And if I don't have meetings, or if I get that day where everybody cancels or things just don't line up, I use that time to dial and schedule and get things done. Send emails, send mass emails, use that time to be effective and be productive, and don't just hang it up. Because there are those days where I'll look at the calendar like, oh, I've got a great day today. And all of a sudden this guy's kid's sick and this guy's got to cancel. And this guy, I've heard every excuse out there. There are days where you go from 4 meetings to none, but you just got to make sure that you use that time effectively. And I'm not just kind of, oh shit, the day ruined. I use that time to rip a list or get some rescheduled meetings or be productive.
So you get bad news, they cancel, they make excuses, and then you use that to fuel you to then put more stuff on the calendar.
Yep, exactly.
I love it. How do you deal with fear?
That's a good question, because I actually feel fear a lot. I did in the beginning too, and that's a confidence thing. If I'm feeling anxious or I have fear around something, I just try to get myself comfortable enough. If I know there's a big advisor and I know he's doing the business, but I just can't get in front of him, that's back to the kind of fact finding or learning about him. Or if there's a product that I know I can present on, and I'm not super buttoned up on it, you put the work in. And that's with anything. You just got to put the work in, get the confidence, feel good about it, and then you'll conquer those fears. So I used to have that with meetings in the beginning when I remember going out and just doing them to do them and see what worked. But now I've developed the process and I make sure I have the preparation, the planning. I think the preparation and planning can help alleviate all their fears.
People don't know who you are. I do. I'm working with you. Give them an idea of what you walked into and what you've turned that territory into. Because I think people are listening and it'll give them a little bit more credibility to what you're actually saying.
So my first year in the field, I took over I forget how low, maybe the worst territory in the country, one of the lower ones. But that's what happens when you don't have a wholesaler wholesaling it and it's kind of empty. Post COVID, I jumped into St. Louis and I did 42.2 million in annuity business. In our FIA or RILA product, I did 86 million in our fixed, so 128 total. Producer count 118. The previous year producer count was 74. So I grew the territory from 74 producers to 118 producers. Currently this year to date, November, I'm at 92,496,000, so almost 93 million and 148 producers. So I grew from my first year in the field from 118 to 148 and still have 7 weeks here to close out the year. I'm at 92, knocking on the door of 100 million. If you can tell by the way I spit these numbers off, I live in these numbers every day. I stare at these numbers. I'm obsessed with the planning, the numbers. So I got some significant growth. I'm number 4 in the country as far as year-over-year growth. And there's 1 basis point separating me from the second place guy. So it's neck and neck, but I've seen a ton of growth. Hyper focused on activity, hyper focused on seeing the right people, hyper focused on my plan, have a plan. I stick to it. I live in these numbers. I live in that business plan where I've labeled the top 400 advisors in my territory and they get peppered, absolutely peppered. But again, in a respectful way. I'm here to hustle. I'm here to work. And everybody's starting to realize that and learn that. And also the word around the territory, like I'll meet people like, I've heard great things about you. You do great. And that's again, in the process and the follow-up, doing what you say you're going to do. If you're always doing the right thing and always saying what you're going to do, that gets around. It's a small world. Everybody knows everybody. I've got 2,000 advisors in my territory, but when you really break it down and focus on the people that I'm focusing on, they all know each other and that goes a long way. But the numbers, I'm at 92 and a half million year to date. And we're going to blow through 100 million here for the year. And that's in MIGA business. I've done 95 million in fixed. So almost 200 million in total annuity business. And I have the 6th smallest by market measures territory in the company.
Why do you think that it would be so important for an RVP, wholesaler, even a financial advisor to have a coach to work with?
You know what? The accountability thing, you think, you can do it yourself or your resources. And I've got a manager, I've got coaches at work, but there's something about someone outside of your circle that will give you the honest feedback. Just the things about myself too, like even outside of work, you taught me a lot of the questions you asked today about fear, about confidence, about reprogramming your mind. I didn't have this stuff when I first started. It's still my 2nd year in the field. And I've just kind of adapted those things you taught me, the things that I learned through you of just kind of believing in yourself, setting those expectations that I am going to win, keep telling myself I'm going to win. I've seen extensive dividends. I mean, you heard the numbers. I went from 42.2 million in 2023. I'm at 92.5 million here in November and we'll blow through 100. The goal for my territory was 65 million. So we're going to be close to doubling the sales goal. And that's, we started 6 months ago. I've got a run rate of 10 to 12 million every month since we started. So we've developed the process and I had a process before we started, but I've integrated things that you taught me into my current process and made it better. We just improved it and just dialed it in a little bit more.
A lot of people will say, why would you pay for coaching? It's expensive. What would you say to someone that says that?
I mean, anything that has value, the return, you're investing in yourself. I got that money back and some, the sales that were generated from the time we spent, from the things I learned, from the things that I put into my process that we learned. You get that money back. So anything that of any value or worthwhile is going to have a price to it. But that's nothing to me now.
What's some of the best advice that you ever got?
Business planning, have a plan, be persistent, believe in yourself. Because in the beginning too, like I didn't have the confidence, but figure out how to get yourself there, whether it's being a student of the game, learning the product inside out. And that stuff comes with time. You build that brick by brick over time. I'm seeing some accelerated growth because I put a lot of time in to honing my craft, honing myself, honing my presentation. I take an hour a week out with you, my coach. I spend out countless hours prepping and putting the time in. And you can look at some of the greatest athletes, businessmen, whatever. They put countless hours in the gym, in the office, learning, just constantly improving yourself. I'm a student of the game all the time. And I've taken what you gave me and what you've been giving me and integrated that into daily habits. And I've ingrained it in my brain.
Steph Curry, Michael Jordan, amazing players. What made them so great?
I think the gift these guys definitely have, but they took the natural gift they were given and they took it to a whole nother nuclear level by just being absolutely consistent on their process, their craft. I mean, you have the stories of Jordan working out at 4, 5 a.m., getting up before everybody else is up and putting in serious time. You know, he had the physical ability, but he turned himself into the greatest ever by putting in some serious effort and serious work.
Before we leave, what advice do you have for anyone that might be listening to this? You could have some experience, very experienced people listening to this, to someone who just started. What were some of those key items that you think would be important for them to hear?
If you have an opportunity, take advantage of it. And grateful was one of the lessons that we have part of the sales process. Be grateful for your opportunity. Make sure if you have one, you're taking advantage of it, because not everybody, there'll be somebody out there wishing they're in your shoes, wishing they had your opportunity. And if you have one, make sure you're taking advantage of it and giving all your effort and all your time towards it. And don't look back and have regret thinking, man, if I would have just done a little bit more, made those extra dials or did that a little bit, maybe things would have been different. This is kind of cliche and you hear a lot of the best guys, but they're not wrong. Leave it all out there. Make sure you're giving 100% effort into everything you do, whether it's a phone call, whether it's an email, whether it's a meeting, personally, professionally. Make sure that you're putting in the adequate amount of time and effort and don't have any regrets.
Perfect. I just want to say thank you, Anthony, for taking your time. I know how busy you are. Thanks for taking your time and really helping other people that are in your shoes. Now, you just gave them a ton of great information. What should they be doing with that information that you just gave them?
Get motivated, work on your process, work on your preparation, see where you can improve what you're doing now and make it better and get better.
If you enjoyed today's podcast, here are 2 things you can do right now to get in front of more financial advisors. 1, take our complimentary 21-day mindset challenge. You'll receive a 2-minute video every day for 21 days, which will help you make the calls, follow up, and get more financial advisors as clients. If you'd rather jump in and get even better results, this is an invitation to join our waiting list for a complimentary 1-hour coaching call. Go to michaelfoxcoach.com. Again, that's michaelfoxcoach.com to sign up for the 21-day mindset challenge or get on our waiting list for a complimentary coaching call.